agenda, so we can just go to the items here. Before we go through the meeting, I just want to like give each person. We had the calendar meeting was a little heavy, right? It was what it was. So I would like to give each of you a little a minute or so and a half, literally, really quick, just a quick debrief, because I feel like we need to be mentally okay also, right? So I'll call you how you're on my list, and then how I see you on my screen, and just talk about how you felt about the business meeting, the calendar meeting, and then we can move forward, right? Micah, go ahead.
BJ, I'm sorry, Howard is having trouble getting in. Oh, Howard, you're in. You're in. Oh, okay. So I didn't mean to jump in. You want me to start?
Restart.
Yeah, I mean, this is
quickly, please.
Yeah, this is par for the course now. I mean, you know, it's in the wake of the second one, in the wake of Mr. Floyd's murder and Black Lives Matter, and a lot of people interjecting. I think you handled that well, and I think on we go. I didn't feel it was anything unusual for us. Yeah.
Thank you. The next person I have on my list here is Elena. Oh, look at her titles. I love it.
You like it?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's change Erica's too. Come on, let's do this.
I am not a host, so Crystal is not giving me the right because she said I'm no longer a secretary.
Please change your titles. Yes, this is beautiful. So, Elena, go ahead.
You're going to be hosting the Zoom calls now.
Oh no, you're so good at that. You gotta do that.
He doesn't want to give it to me.
Come, let's go. We gotta go time. Sorry, guys.
All right. So I have one thing to say. I think we have not been consistent in terms of the public comment section and the question answers. Sometimes we do respond, sometimes we do not. So I feel like we need to discuss that and start being consistent. When we were in person for those meetings, I remember that we did answer to some of them within the 3 minutes, and now it seems like the public is getting frustrated with it. So I think that's an area that we need to look at. I also felt today that the meeting went sideways because of, you know, the flyers and posters, and I can only imagine what it would have been like in person. And we wanted to focus the meeting on getting back to school and what the parents felt about it, the safety around COVID-19. And I felt like the meeting was sidetracked a little bit, obviously an important topic, but something that we wanted to discuss, we did not discuss as much as we wanted to. So thank you.
Thank you. Andy, minute and a half starts now.
You talking to me?
Yes. We're asking you how you felt. You don't have a thought, right? Also the meeting today, the calendar meeting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I find the calendar meeting very interesting. There's a lot of energy and passion into the meeting. I think what make these few meetings more exciting is that parents can join it from the comfort of their home because they cannot really make it. I think that's what happened. I a lot of there's some of the expression that some of the parents spoke about. I experienced it, so I know exactly what they're talking about, and I know why they're saying what they're saying. And I really believe in educating more parents on what is going on, and I think that that I need to use up. Even though I have limited time, I think I need to find a way to meet more of the parent coordinators at the schools to get more African American parents involved. I think that I would have the failed in that area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
It was a very interesting meeting. As Andy would say, a passionate meeting. I think it's important that we do our best to make sure that we get as much participation from every part of the district involved in our CEC meetings. So I would like to see whether or not, and I apologize ahead of time, Crystal, whether or not we could call, as soon as we know when the date is, you know, call the principals or parent coordinators if they're working or PTA presidents call, not just email, and make sure they're aware, make sure they have the flyer, make sure that they hand it out. Because that way we do our due diligence and we are being responsive to the people and completely transparent. Thank you.
Ted.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of raw emotion today. I'm going to keep my voice down because my kids are asleep. But so I think like what I sense today, and it frankly does not surprise me, is, you know, it seems like we're not really practicing equity as a CEC. And I think what equity is not just sort of like giving everyone the same amount, but equity is, you know, figuring out how we bring everyone to the same level. And equity is one of the official values of the DOE. It is an officially adopted value of the DOE. And I think, you know, we all come into this space as sort of amateur parents. So it's not, I don't know that every single person who came onto this group really has deeply thought about how to practice equity as a CEC member. But I think that that's something we all, you know, that's something we should all work on as a group, because equity does not mean sort of like just throwing something out there and then just like, well, whoever participates. I think what equity is figuring out who is not participating and really making sure they do participate. I'm definitely on board with doing more of that.
Thank you. Erica?
Hello. This meeting, as we said, had a lot of emotions, and it's a topic that we've been talking about for years, right? Diversity brought it up, and we need to continue. You know, they have a hashtag at my job says hashtag check your bias. So it's allowing people to discuss and also just check yourself. So sometimes we have to evaluate ourselves and see how we feel, how biased we are. So I think one of the things I want to do is make sure that we answer the questions that the parents ask. They ask the question in the chat, we need to have a response to them. I don't know what's the time frame. We never said anything to them, or are we going to deliver it at the next meeting? But they ask a lot of good questions, and I just want to make sure that we respond to them. That's it.
Thank you. Barbara?
Yes. To piggyback on what Elena and Erica said, I was going to ask that question. Since when we are not having Q&A anymore, we're just having public comments? Because I felt bad knowing that if I felt bad when I went to like the President's Council meeting or the CCHS, because my child is involved and I asked a question and didn't get an answer for that question that I asked. So I can relate to the parents that asked a question and didn't get an answer. And I wanted to know, since when we are not doing that, is because we are virtual, or you know, what has changed? As to, because I wanted to answer, because Krista sent out emails to all the schools. I haven't heard back from any of my schools. Micah sent out email. I sent out personal emails, and I didn't get back any answer from. We got, I think, 354 answered, but the dates weren't okay with them.
30.
So I wanted the opportunity to defend myself, to let them know that I'm doing the best that I can before they think that I'm not doing anything. I'm doing the best that I can, but if I don't hear back from the school, there's nothing that I can do. That I wanted to answer those parents and those questions. So that's my thought. The tonight meeting was very emotional, and I felt shameful in some part of it, and the other part, but because I know I'm doing the best that I can, I'm not beating myself up too much.
Time.
Robert?
Sorry, I don't know. I'm driving in Long Island, so I don't know if you guys are gonna hear me.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Sorry. So I agree with Barbara, but I think part of the problem is, right, we're doing things and it's not showing to the parents, and maybe we're not doing enough. So I think
So Robert,
was pointed out. I think that's what we do. So maybe reaching out. So I think we need to come up with some plan to send people out there and get that information, reach those parents. Getting parents involved in children's education is number one to improving education. There's no question about that. So, we need to listen to the people and do what they want.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. So let's add my 2 pieces. From today's call, I sense a lot of frustration. I sense a lot of pushback, a lot of comments, which is great. I am happy that we are getting people to come and tell us, right? It's the first step that we are creating a platform for parents to speak and give us feedback. So that's, hey, I'm happy we have that place. As soon as they came in the call today, they started typing speak, right? Automatically they knew that because there is that space that we provide, a platform for all the speakers to speak. And we did that, and we always do that. So that's a great step. We have to do a better job in terms of, like Erica said, in responding, but I don't want to make that decision alone. We have not agreed on that formally. So if we as a council agree that, but once you also, what we have as a council have to understand too is if we are going to start be willing to answer every question, you leave room for a lot of things too, right? Because then when you don't have an answer, why don't you have an answer, right? So you can choose to how we can discuss how to answer questions and when to answer questions. Lastly, I would say I would like to see us form a committee for equity. A committee, I think I would like to see us form more committees to address the issue of a specific group of us to bring ideas. So when questions of that come up, that committee could answer that question. When questions about safety comes up, the safety committee can answer that question. When questions about whatever stuff happened, we can direct it to the committee. And if you don't have an answer, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move to our actual meeting now itself. So thank you all for chiming in. I appreciate your part, okay? Treasurer's report. Andy.
I think he's gone.
Yes, I'm right here. I'm here.
Okay, I need you to stay with us for the meeting, please, all right? Okay, so do you have anything to report from the treasurer perspective? Do you know anything about that at this point?
No, I don't know anything about that at this point. I would definitely would like our assistant to actually guide me through some of the steps them to do certain things that I can be more efficient. I've been trying to work on it, but the pandemic slowed down a lot of stuff. A lot of meetings I've tried to go to, but everything came down to an end. So I'd like whatever help I can get in that area, definitely be welcome.
Thank you. We're gonna move along. Crystal, do you have anything to add about the budget?
Nothing at this time. The last we spoke, all of the reimbursements that I could put through were put through at that time. So as far as I know, what we're waiting on is the new budget for next year. So then once that comes in, I'm gonna reach out to our SGO just to get a timeline on that.
Thank you.
Then we'll need to discuss where we want the money to go and start.
I appreciate that.
VJ, I just want to know, because we discussed this on the Tuesday meeting, do we need to put it in the business meeting for us to be reimbursed? Okay, for us to be reimbursed for those months that was not given to us for last year?
I was going to make a motion for that right now. After.
Okay.
I was going to have Paula speak first, if she want to update us on anything about that, where we stand, and then I'll make a motion for that. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, Paula?
Yeah, so we don't know yet whether the budget is going to be 20,000 or 25. We haven't heard. But what I did mention last time is that the business meeting, you should just have a budget, base it on 20,000, which is traditional, and then allocate the lines, a member reimbursement line for this year, and then a past reimbursement for whichever members. You have to list the members for FY 2020, because now we're at FY21, as a separate line, and then your equipment and your, so
Okay.
you can prepare that, and you can do it, you know, Tuesday you're having a special business meeting, right? Thursday. Why don't you add it to that business meeting? You know, it will be prepared then. You know, you will come with a prepared, a proposed budget, so that then it's approved. Even if, and when the money comes in, then you will, you can spend.
Can we make the motion today to do that, so that way we can have it prepared Tuesday to vote on it? Yes, Paula?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea to put it on the agenda, and then, you know, have, make sure that Crystal and Andy have a preliminary budget prepared by then, and you put it on.
Okay. So besides Erica, is there anyone else who did not get their reimbursements who needs to be reimbursed?
I want to ask a question to Paula.
Of course.
So, so Paula, on Tuesday, I think I heard you said that we're not getting reimbursed for the virtual meetings that we did. Am I right?
Yeah, that's generally the case, unless you had like services for a child with special needs that you couldn't take care of, you know, during the meeting.
Okay, so so my thoughts on that is I did not join the CEC for reimbursement because I didn't even know there was money to be given. But when I found out the money is there, then I want the money. So my whole thing is, if we're doing the virtual meeting, and the last time we had a business meeting, it was almost midnight before we get off the meeting, and then most of us had to eat and take a shower and go to bed, so call it 2 o'clock. Why, if we're doing the virtual meetings, we're not getting paid? So where's that money going? It's going back and we're not getting it. Why, and why is it so?
So the reason is because when CCs were school boards, there were stipends, and basically you were compensated based on time. But after when the CECs came in, the state law specified that the CEC members cannot be paid a stipend, but can be reimbursed for all, quote, actual and necessary expenses. So the biggest expense in a normal meeting is what? Transportation and childcare. It's really childcare, not, and those two expenses in principle are not, you don't spend that to attend the meeting in your own home. So that's why, but it has to do with the state law. We don't really have discretion to put it into a stipend, like the way you have with the SLT, for example.
Okay, I understand.
And that's, by the way, true, amazingly, even of the PEP members, who sometimes stay till like 2 or 3 in the morning. They don't get a stipend either.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Of course, go ahead.
So this question is for Crystal, and I'm not coming down on you, Crystal, because I know you just came or whatever, and I appreciate you very much, and I think you're doing a wonderful job, well, a great job, as most of us are, and not getting credit for it. But my question to you is, for the months of, and if I get the months wrong, then you could correct me, please. For the months of July, we didn't have a meeting in August, September, and October that you said we was missing on the reimbursement. My question is, when did you find out that we wasn't gonna be reimbursed those months? And because we didn't hear anything about it until Tuesday when we was in a call-in, and the budget was already closed for that at that time. So when did you find out we wasn't gonna be reimbursed, and why didn't you reach out to us individually if you didn't know who was in the meeting, or have no idea of who was in the meeting because you didn't have a sign-in sheet? But the only person you have is VJ. VJs don't go to meetings by himself unless it's probably ECC meeting or different meetings that he go to. So my question is, why didn't you reach out to us individually and say, where are you at this meeting? Because even though you wasn't here, most of us in our mind, we know everybody that goes to every meeting, because I could tell you I've never missed a meeting, but I could tell you everybody that comes to every meeting ever since we started in July. up until today?
Okay. So, so first off, it took about, forgive me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but you know, I needed the minutes. I need some sort of documentation in order to submit the reimbursements. So it took a little bit of time to get the minutes, but once I got them, you know, what you guys don't see is a lot of back and forth and confusion between myself and the SGO. So the reason why you guys found out late is because I found out late. You know, looking on the minutes, you know, and I guess it was an error on my part. You know, I was making an assumption that there was attendance on the minutes for all of the meetings, but once it was processed and put forth towards the SGO, she pointed out that there was no attendance there. Diana Iqbal from FACE. I've been going back and forth with her about providing sign-in sheets. You and Erica gave her a whole bunch of papers, a stack of papers, right? So I have yet to receive a real definitive final answer on where they went. So that took some time too. So, you know, slowly but surely we're creeping up on the June 30th date, and I just had to put in what I had. I mean, you know, trust and believe, you know, if I had all of the materials at the time, they will all be put through. Had this been a regular school year, you know, where we're sitting in a building and there's no restrictions on things that didn't exist before, it would have got put through. So, I mean, to be honest, you know, I think it's just a mixture of what was going on, things not being documented properly, things not being, what's the word, stored properly, right? No clear communication. So that's why. So, I mean, I would say just moving forward, and I spoke to BJ about this, you know, let's all make this the first and last time this happens in terms of, you know, I'll make sure that you guys are on top of everything and you make sure I'm on top of everything too. So in the future, there'll be paperwork for everything, everything be documented so that way this won't happen. So I would say, but once I do receive those sign-in sheets, I see no reason why everyone could be up to snuff, you know, in terms of what they're entitled to.
Thank you.
Sorry guys, I missed the Tuesday.
I appreciate that.
Sorry guys, I missed the Tuesday meeting, so I wasn't sure what was happening. Apologies for that. I am not in New York right now. I am in Pennsylvania. So, but I'm pretty sure that the sign-in sheets have been given. Paul, I don't remember if it was you or it was one of your colleagues when one of the meetings you were
It
at.
was her colleague. It was her colleague who.
And I remember I even said, guys, do you see that I'm giving the sign-in sheets to somebody? I wanted witnesses. You guys remember that, right?
Yes.
I had a folder and I usually would keep it, and she wanted to take it from me and I gave it to her. So I don't have them because I actually went to New York for my birthday a few weekends ago and I checked because I saw your email. I did not have them. And I was going through my memory as to like, who did I give it to? And then it clicked. I even remember them like, guys, I need witnesses because I was giving them away. And I don't remember that it was you, but it was the blonde, I guess, short hair.
Yeah, it was, she came, I was on vacation that one in March.
Okay.
I got some from Eric. I remember that we were trying to process, but they did not include the signing sheets. Now, the January signing sheet does not matter because I was at that meeting. I have records. The SGO will take my word for it. The SGO will not take a member's word for it. But, you know, I'm a DOE employee. If I say I was there, I remember the January meeting because it was in that school up on the hill and everybody was there. It was one of those meetings that, it was a memorable meeting. Okay. Yeah. So I remember that meeting. I can't help you with July, August, September, and October because I wasn't there. So I don't know.
I love her.
Pardon?
Sorry.
Oh.
You love somebody. That's what I heard.
So I just want to say thank you, Crystal, because I know, thank you for advocating for us, because I know the same way we go through stuff, you must have gone through stuff, but I just needed that clarification because it's in my head, and I'm the kind of person that if it's in my head, I'm gonna ask it. I don't want to, you know, talk behind your back, so I want to ask you while you're here. So we get an understanding of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
I want to move it forward. So I want to ask Steve, our second vice president, her first job, if you don't mind drafting up a letter stating that we have this issue, that we did submit this paperwork to Diana Iqbal, and then we'll forward it to Paula from FACE, and then they will take it from there. We will not let it slide, because you know what? That is your time, that is your money, that is your, you will get paid.
And the one time Paula didn't come is the time everything went to hell.
Which ones are you actually missing? Is it just January?
No, Crystal, tell them the.
Oh, the months that are missing attendance were July, September, October, and I say January because in the minutes it only says VJ's name. Obviously,
January doesn't matter. I can write to the SGO. I will write to the SGO and tell them you were all there. That doesn't matter. But did you actually have sign-in sheets for July and September and October?
July, no, right? Because we didn't meet July, right?
You didn't meet in July.
We didn't meet in August. We met in July.
Yes.
And Elena said she was going away. Erica was going away, so we decided not to have a meeting in August.
Correct.
Let me try to figure out July. So July, you had minutes. Didn't you have like a roll call vote? Didn't you have a roll call vote?
That's when elections were made.
See,
Erica
if you
wasn't
had,
here.
if the minutes had a roll call vote.
I sent you the minutes, right, Crystal?
Yes, got July. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I can't attest to it because I wasn't there. The difference between January is the SGO will take my email because I was there. I can say I can attest to all these because it's not that the SGO is mean, but there are audit standards. That's the problem.
But I think also about I'm gonna fight for our members. I don't feel our members should have to pay the price because we had an AA who didn't do their part. We had a FACE member who don't know what the paperwork were. That's you, Paula, right? But what I'm saying is, I think let's have a solution. We know what the problem is, right? Let's have a solution. The first step I'm thinking is, Elena, can you please draft a letter from CEC28 that we have a discrepancy. Crystal, can you work with Elena, CC Barbara, Erica in the email, and myself and Paula in that email, so that way we can have a resolution in terms of how to move forward, what's missing. Let's get a draft letter, and then we all members here can sign a letter after when we finalize, say, yes, I attest these members were here, each other, and then we bump it up to the next level where we send a letter in officially. Because he say, she say, email back and forth is just my word against your proof. Let's move to a resolution to have it fixed. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Mrs. Vice President, okay with that? Ms. Second Vice President? Can we have a letter by the next week? That'd be great. Can you please provide Elena and work on that? CC Barbara and Erica, myself, and Paula in that email, please. Start that email thread to get that resolved, please. Either way, we're gonna make sure it gets taken care of, okay? We have to make sure, it's important.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. First Vice President. Old business, anything old? I want to bring up something with old business. I think, Ted, we had talked about a while back about these surveys that you had undertaken in the district back then. I know the pandemic happened and you're supposed to bring us copies of all those surveys for the council to look at and make a decision what we're going to write a letter about. Again, about accountability and about us fulfilling and doing what we have to do. I know this was brought up on a recent talk about this, like what happened to this. So I would like if anyone have anything to chime in, questions, but even like Ted could respond to.
Are we going to do executive session? Sorry. Are we going to do executive session, or what is our plan here?
Do we want an executive session?
We did say we was gonna do an executive session.
Okay, so let's
Nothing has
let's
changed.
table this. Let's table to the end of the call today, and then we go to executive session. That's fine.
Sure.
Okay, great. So let's anything else for old business?
Yeah, the new survey. The second survey.
The second survey that Ted was working on, right?
Yes.
Go for it, Bobby. Brought it up. Go for it.
So according to Mr. Fieldman, I think his name is A-R-I, I don't want to pronounce it.
Ari Feldman.
Ari Feldman. If anyone was listening to what he was saying today, and I solely agree with what he said, that tells me that we really need to get that second survey out, even if we have to make some adjustment to the questions, according to what Micah said, that he felt like those questions was being forced. If we have to make adjustment to those questions, we need to get a second survey out, because from what I'm hearing, the parents are saying that the questions wasn't clear, number one. Number two, it was contradictory. So we need to get that second survey out. And I congratulate you, VJ. You know, I'm with you 150%. We of getting that survey out to our parents in that small amount of time. But I really think that we really need that survey, really get the opinion of our parents in District 28 and see how they feel with some hardcore question that really relates to what's going on in the school, apart from do you like or do not like. So that's my thought. So you know, if anybody disagree with me,
Thank you, Barbara.
you know, let me know.
So you have Micah.
You're muted,
Unmute.
Micah.
Yeah, you know, I think that surveys are just trouble. I don't think they're going to bring us anything. I think there's always a problem with them. No matter what you do, somebody is going to complain. And I don't really see, and you know, my feeling is we're in a crisis, we're in an emergency. We should be focused on, are the kids going to school? Are they going to be safe? How they're going to do it? So if you guys want to do a survey, I will come in with my opinion, you know, on it. But I think it's just, we should be doing other things with our time.
Anyone
Can I
else?
say something, Micah?
Of course.
I understand what you're saying as to, but with a survey is how you hear what the parents are thinking. Because even with school reopening, you know how I felt about that. But
Yeah.
DOE sent out a survey, and then they released today on their findings. So it might be trouble, but that's the only way for us to really hear and understand what our parents are thinking, is with a survey at this point in time. Because like we said, we are hearing from one side of the district, and we're not hearing from the other side. So with a survey, we have to try to outreach and get it to everybody.
Let me just respond briefly. Of course, you know, Barbara, I love you and respect you, but I'm with the great American writer Mark Twain, who said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. So I don't think we can really, our view is different, that I don't really believe that we can get an honest view from a survey. I believe that they're always manipulated. There's always questions of bias in the question. So that, you know, I objected to the first survey, but I missed the Tuesday meeting where it was first brought up, and I would have brought it then. So that's just where I'm coming from. If people feel strongly, I'm not gonna, you know, make a big deal of
Thank
it.
you, Micah.
But everybody's gonna complain. No matter what the survey is, people will complain.
Okay, so anyone else want to comment?
I mean, I would just say that, like, I see where you're coming from, Micah. My sense is that it's like, I mean, it's already in news articles. Electeds are claiming, you know, this is the opinion of the district. So I kind of agree with what you're saying, that it's impossible to like have this perfectly, you know, imperfect. I agree with that. I mean, in principle, I totally agree with that concept. But the problem is that, like, we went with that first survey, and and my preference, the way that I see it done in a lot of surveys is that you can ask multiple questions many different ways to try to elicit different things, but and that's what sometimes they do. They ask multiple similar questions to elicit different nuances. And I would have been okay doing that on the first survey, but because we kind of didn't do that on the first survey, and then now it's going out to the electeds and all this stuff, it just seems like we're missing a big part of the conversation. So that's why I support doing more work. And I also just think that like, we don't need to have these like time limited surveys where it's like where we're trying to like get a number. I mean, this is just like, we're trying to get input from the district, and I don't know why we need to limit that input. Sometimes it might mean that we need to go and dig deeper and get more input from different people when we realize we're not getting it.
Okay, and how do you foresee us doing this differently? Ted, Barbara, anyone else in favor of it? How can we do it differently this time around to ensure, because the question is to really, if we do another survey, we get the same response again, right? Then we will be accomplishing anything differently, right? So what can we do to mitigate that in terms of meeting more of the parents who were not represented, as they were saying in the first survey? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so my thoughts on that is, if you ask, you know, what school you're from, then when we get those survey back, like I said, Micah, we can tweet the survey that you guys wrote, you know, probably change up some of the questions a little bit. But I think if we ask what school are you from, and then have a drop down with the schools, and parents pick their schools or even type their schools in, then we could know which if we're getting more from the north side or the south side, or if we're getting from parents that is not even in our districts, that are on our meeting all the time. I think that's one way for us to really know where the survey is coming from. So I think that's something that we would want to do different this time around than we did the last time, and also get it in time to all our PCs, all our PTA presidents, and make sure we check up to make sure they get it, and they're gonna distribute it to their parents, and we get answers from such said survey.
Does anybody else have any thoughts of how, I mean, we have to move on, right, in terms of things, right? So
I think Micah has something to say. Go ahead, Micah.
Let me just say very quickly, if you're gonna do that, two things. One, I think you want to carefully do the questions, and you're probably going to have to do the survey in September when everybody's back. So you need to be thinking about what's the issue in the fall. Is this a diversity planning related survey, or are we still, you know, it just doesn't seem like that's going to be an overriding issue in the fall. I think the overriding issue will be the pandemic. Go ahead.
It can be on the pandemic and what people have experienced and how people feel about you know, school reopen, or if not, or you know, whatever. We have time to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, Elena.
To the earlier point, I did send a draft letter already. So Crystal, you have it, and we can start revising it. I included majority of you, whoever's email I had.
Thank you.
That's one. To that point, I being on, there was a CEC meeting for District 25 last night. Venus attended, and I feel like we have bigger issues right now of returning back to school that I felt we did not do justice of discussing at the meeting earlier today, at the calendar meeting. And I feel like we're going back to the previous issue. And again, we can't force parents to participate. We have done our due diligence of making sure at least there is a representation from each of the schools in the district. And I felt like last meeting we were celebrated for that. Today we were totally bashed for that. And maybe we should do a better job of getting more parents, 4,000, I heard the number. But again, I feel like we need to move on, and hearing what District 25 is doing in terms of preparation of getting back into the buildings, we are not doing anything close to that, or at least I'm not hearing it. And I am afraid for my own child to go back to school in September if we did not think through all of those details that I'm hearing from District 25. And again, we're going to be in a situation where New York has the biggest school district, and then the excuse before was we didn't have enough time to be ready for remote learning. Now we have plenty of time. We had since March, and in September we're going to be in the same situation, and our kids are now going to be suffering. And you know, we're going to have second wave. My husband works for Mount Sinai, and I'm hearing some of his conference calls where there's second wave coming, and we're not going to be ready. Our school district is not going to be ready. I mean, we heard from Robert today as well, and I know we got some bashful comments on that, but I mean, he has a degree to stand behind it, and he's not talking about his own opinion, but our buildings are not ready. Our educators are not ready to do full-time remote learning, and our kids, I felt like my kids literally degraded since March with their educational, I mean, they had like maybe 1 hour of actual learning a day versus being in a school building. So I am a little bit, I guess, frustrated in terms of our focus and the fact that September is going to be here before we know it.
Thank you.
I agree.
I want to have one more comment, and I'm going to move on about if anybody wants to be here. So after Ted's comment, I'm going to ask the board if anyone wants to make a motion to do the next survey, right? So go ahead, Ted.
So I just want to tie some of this together because earlier, Vijay, you mentioned we should have a committee on equity. And I agree with that. And I think that as a group, instead of trying to, I feel like the last meeting we had, there was a lot of tension, and it was because we're not all the same people. And rather than trying to always come to agreement on every issue, which I think that can just naturally create a lot of tension, I think we should just allow people to pursue what interests them. And obviously equity interests me. And so let's have committees where people do things that interest them. And I think that this is what, you know, at the last meeting, we actually talked about how if we do another survey, it would be a broader survey. It wouldn't just be about screening. And a lot of what interests me are finding out what is actually happening with some of these marginalized student populations. And so that would be a perfect thing to put into a survey, is to, you know, find out, you know, how these students are feeling, how are homeless students responding to situations, et cetera, et cetera. So I just think that, like, we don't always have to, like, I think part of this is like the centralization where we're all one group, and then it becomes this, like, and there's ideology here, obviously, so there's some tension there, but why do we necessarily have to have that model? Couldn't we just have, like, I mean, we could even have, like, the pro screening committee if you guys wanted to form one, and you could have the pro equity committee, and we could just do our own work. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, it doesn't have to be like we agree on everything. We could just, I would be happy if the pro screening group wanted to, like, do something, you know, and I, as the equity committee, I would like to, you know, and whoever else wants to be on it, I would like to do stuff. And that way we can bring different voices to the table if that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you.
As opposed to trying to have one single voice after a vote.
Thank you, Ted. So I plan to make a motion for that, what I mentioned earlier about the committee in the new business part. Okay, so we'll get there. But I think on this specific old business about the survey, right? We could also table that until the committee is formed, and then make that part of the committee's agenda to work on a survey for that. So at this point, I will ask anyone right now, do you feel that you want to make a motion for moving forward the survey, or you want to table it until I open up the thing about the committee for equity?
Committee, I would say.
Anybody else? Anyone else? Going once? I'm sure. Let's move. I'm going to move, right? So if we're not responding, I'm going to move along, right?
I agree with the committee.
Okay, beautiful. So we're moving along now. So we're going to move. Was that finger coming to talk, Howard? No, okay. That's my phone. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so we're going to move along now. So any other old business? Okay, new business. I would like to, so first of all,
I'm sorry, on old business though, I just want to, before we go, I just want to say that I second Elena's thought. We are drifting far away from our concerns. We have a crisis. There's a pandemic coming. My wife works for the VA. They said there's a second wave coming. And all I want to say is that we as a CEC, one of our original missions is to liaison with our schools. And I know it's hard. We've been after them. We've been chasing them. We need more help. You know, Crystal can help us with it. We got to call them every week because the schools will give us the answer to what the problem is with the pandemic. We are not ready to put our kids into school in September. And I think that should be our main issue. And our issue should be liaison with our schools, which are many schools in the South. So we'll hear about everything. And that's all I wanted to say on that.
Thank you, Micah. Okay, Paula.
Can I add something to that? Because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but SLTs are doing building walkthrough, you know, for the pass survey that then will eventually go into the Blue Book. And the reason they're doing it in the summer, and they're actually, you know, they're actually even considering like making that part of the SLT work, you know, under COVID-19, is to figure out what the building space is with a view to, you know, reconfiguring in the fall. So parents are participating in this, but only through the SLT. Are you aware of this?
I am on SLT at every one of my schools. I definitely know that District 25 is doing it. I am on SLT with Forest Hills High School, and they're not doing it.
I never heard. I talked to 2 SLTs this month. Nobody mentioned a walkthrough.
Yeah,
Okay.
I never heard of it, and I'm on the SLT. Is that the individual schools SLT that they're doing that, Paula?
Well, it's a policy. I mean, they should all be doing it. It's a policy that the Office of District Planning has.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna email my
I can bring that back because I know there, you know what? There's a working group that's going to, that is started up with looking at SLT issues, including the walkthroughs and all that. So I can, if one of you is interested, I think since there seems to be little knowledge here, I think I can bring that back and maybe have one of you, you know, participate in the working group. If I mean, I don't know how many people are on it now. I know one of the chairs, so.
I want to be on there because I'm on
Yeah, I'd like to be on it. If you're talking working group, that's my middle name.
Okay.
I'm on the SLT at my school. I'm going to email my principal in the morning. I
am doing it right now.
Yeah, Paula, I'd love to hear about that.
I want to be on there, Paula, because I want to hear about it.
Okay, great.
Okay. It's kind of a new thing, but it is, you know, they're going to do it.
I volunteer.
Awesome. So that is it for. So again, Ted. Okay, we'll discuss our session. Okay, for new business now, I would like to make a motion to form a few committees. So Paula, do I have to make a motion to form each committee individually, or I can just make a motion to form a few committees?
You know, I don't know what you have in your bylaws. Do you have standing committees? You know, you can just vote to form a committee. Let's kind of cut that. You can vote to form a committee, and then you appoint the chair, subject to the council's veto. It's really better than approval, but probably the bylaws say approval. So you just appoint the chair.
Okay, so
and create a committee.
So I propose a motion to form a equity committee that will. So Andy, can you pause your? Andy, can you mute your mic, please?
This is being used.
Andy, can you pause your mic, please?
Or Crystal, maybe you can mute him. Okay.
Thank you. I propose to form a committee for the CEC to look at equity in our district in terms of parent involvement in our CEC meetings, and how can we connect to parents? What can we uncover the problems? What are the barriers to this and solutions to that? But this committee will examine this, find solutions, and also answer questions at CEC meetings pertaining to representation from the district, and also ensuring that that they keep us, the whole CEC, accountable to make sure we are doing all we can possibly do to ensure that there's equitable access and from a CEC perspective across the district. Is anyone?
Well, and I would just like to add that, like, you know, when I heard the word committee on equity, I think, you know, that I think it'd have a much broader sort of a scope in terms of not just like whether people come to the meetings, but just in general, looking at equitable outcomes in our district. You know, like what are happening to our homeless students? What are happening to our, you know, just in other words, examining issues of equity in District 28.
Yeah, so I'm just giving the broad thing. Committee, I think once you have a committee, you can definitely go find different avenues and bring back reports, etc. So does anyone second that?
Second that.
Okay, I want to appoint a chair. Is that okay? Paul, I can appoint a chair?
Yes, you appoint the chair.
Okay, Erica, you had wanted to talk. This is something that you you wanted to really look into to get parents and involved, etc. Would you like to be the chair of this committee?
I would like to be the chair, but I believe that Ted had really spoke on his desire to have this chair.
Well, we can have a chair. We can have committee members. So I know also, but I think you had mentioned before you wanted to do that. So that's why I wouldn't want to skip over you first.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, so I would like Ted to chair it because he had a lot of involvement with this.
Okay.
And I feel that he has been really involved with trying to dig into the equality versus equity in our district.
Thank you. Ted, would you be willing to be the chair of this committee?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. Who else would like to be committee members on this equity? By default, I'm a member of all the committees, right? So I don't have to say. So who else would like to be a member of this committee? Howard. Anybody else?
Is that Barbara and Howard?
Barbara and Howard.
Now, you also know you can have non-CC members on committees.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Are we now?
So can you bring us more information about that in the next meeting?
About having non-committee members?
Yeah. Can you?
Yeah. Sorry, non-CC members. Yeah. Actually, long time ago, I'd asked the Committee on Open Government about it, and apparently, and I would want to verify the answer because the Committee on Open Government has kind of changed. If you have members of the public on a committee, you don't have to notify, like your meetings are de facto open, so you don't have to like go and put out notices and stuff. But I'll have to look into it again.
Yes, look into it for me. That'd be great to have some concerned parents, advocates involved because they can be partners with us to help because they're the foot on the ground, right?
No, that you can do. I know that you can do. You can have non-CC members. They couldn't vote. If you voted on a committee, they couldn't.
Okay, so can we do we have to vote on this 3-member committee at this point, Paula?
No, not the members. The chair accepts members.
Chair, you accept those members?
Once you have a chair, the chair controls the committee.
Good. Ted?
So you mean that like we can adjust the membership later on too? Is that what you're saying, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not, it's just the chair that's nominated now.
Okay.
Okay.
So at this point, we have Barbara, we have Howard, who is part of the equity committee. And great, right? That's good? Okay. And then other members, because we can talk about that going forward. So you guys talk, go ahead. Yay, 1. Can we have a committee to, I know we have a safety committee, right? We have a safety committee, we have an equity committee. I just feel like we have to have a committee on ethics. Like, I don't know, like something about, like a committee to discuss things like, Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, but this, like, council about, okay, do we respond to questions? Do we give extra time to people? I don't want to be the person to have all of like the power to say everything. I would love to have the council members also part of this process.
So some of it you should put in bylaws, basically. Because, for example, the comment, like the 3 minutes and all, that's all in your bylaws. And you could have, you don't want to be too specific in your bylaws, because then, if you do something else,
Right.
But the framework can be in the bylaws. For example, instead of saying public comment session, you could say the committee, the council at its discretion may choose, may have a Q&A in addition to, to comment or something like that. Or those things, right? Where the way you phrase it makes a difference. And you should have a bylaw committee anyway.
We actually formed a bylaw committee like last fall,
but it never came to fruition and never came to,
right. But it sounds like this is sort of like, the informal rules that are not necessarily like formalized, but we still need to have a process for deciding what they are.
Somewhere. They have to be somewhere, because you can't make them up from meeting to meeting. So
okay. I want to have, so the next one I want to discuss was a committee about filling seats in the CEC. We have a member who is out, we're missing a borough president nominee, and we're also missing a one more member, the IEP member, right?
No.
Bilingual. ELL member. So can we have somebody, how do we go about ensuring these things are taken care of? Is that via a committee, or is that something that Kreyòl works on, or personnel works on that? How do we go about that?
I would suggest that Erica, if Erica wanted to do she wanted to do outreach, right? This is something that you have to go into the schools for the L parent.
Mm-hmm. And I did reach out to some of the schools and to the parents. So what do they do next? What's the next step? They just come up to the CEC and say, here's my application, or?
The application is online. They have to submit it to FACE. So you can, you can make sure that they get the online. The online application is actually fillable. It's a fillable PDF that they can just save and email to us. Because remember, there's nobody to take mail now. So,
right. So it's on your it's on the FACE website for the application?
Yes.
Okay.
And, Kreyòl can find it.
Okay, Kreyòl, if you find it, you can forward it to me, because I do have a parent that's interested.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Because then we have to verify the child, so it does come to us. And then
while you add that, Erica, I will send you, or Kreyòl, can you send to Erica, her name is from the borough president's office. Help me out here, Howard. The woman who is in charge of the president appointees. What her name is?
Monica Gutierrez.
Monica Gutierrez. Can you please email her, CC myself, please, Erica?
Mm-hmm.
Been missing another borough president appointment, and we need to have it filled ASAP.
So this is also another thing, with recruitment, because they really would like to appoint somebody from the South. They've been really looking, again, I know that. I can tell you that because they've been asking us.
Okay, so we'll do our recruitment, and we will definitely. I honestly don't feel we should put that out and say we want some from the South, but we should provide an announcement on our page that applicants, please apply. Here's a link. Here's a face thing here for the L and for the borough president.
Borough president.
And Kreyòl, can you please work with Erica for that to get the link, the whole nine? I'll put up that on the website somewhere. And then each of us can send it out to our school districts, our communities, so we're not biased in any which way. We only want some from the South or the North. Let the borough president office decide that. But our job is to send applicants their way.
Yeah, it's just their preference. For all these districts, even like 27, they try, the ones that are very long, and they try to, they try not to have too much from one side. Like anyway.
Oh, you're saying because there's two appointees, so they pick one from each side.
One from each side, more or less.
I like
that makes sense.
Can I ask a question, Paula?
Yeah.
also missing a student representative on there also. So is that
Get
do
it.
we have to have a student or?
So here's the difficult one. Although for you guys, it's not so bad because a lot of Queens students stay in the district. I don't know what high schools you have in the district. It's not just Queens, right? The student has to be a 12th grader next year. And they're appointed by the superintendent. They have to be a 12th grader. They have to be in student government in some way, and they have to reside in the district. So it's kind of difficult for the superintendent to find these kids, but you as parents may know people who have kids in high school who live in the district. They do not need to go to high school in the district. They just need to live in District 28.
Erica, can you
Yeah.
also write to Dr. Pate also? I'll let her know, Dr. Pate, that she needs to assign this person
But
to.
she doesn't cover the high schoolers. That was the issue we had before. That's why those schools that we had were not involved, like Yucca, Mel's, because they have the high school. So it was the other superintendent.
Right. So what's
right?
what's the course of action? That's his
Because
name.
we had, I believe Barbara had reached out to
Right.
Superintendent Pate because we wanted to follow the proper chain of command and not go over her. So Barbara, I wasn't sure. Did she reach back out to you?
Yes, I have the name of those superintendents. I could forward them to you.
Okay.
And again,
Okay,
the kid has to live in the district, not
Right, that's
school.
the other issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Barbara, can you forward that email
Yes.
address to Erica, and then she can email him?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. And I see him at the DLT meeting, so then I can always put a word into him. Hey, we emailed you. Can we get a response? So we can put it forward. We can have
Erica could see you. This way you have the proof, VJ.
awesome. Any new business for anyone?
Guys, I am at my office, which is not home, and I'm going to have to leave in a few minutes because my subway is closing down. So
Oh yeah, because they're gonna.
Oh, be safe.
yeah, so I'm going to have to go.
Okay.
Is there still a quorum? Do you need my vote on anything, or?
DJ?
I don't think we have. I'm just looking at the agenda here.
Sorry, can we get Micah a car service and then pay for that or no?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that
Uber.
you could.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
keep the
have-
receipt.
Yeah.
Just keep,
Yeah.
you have to go to you went to the office, well,
Yeah.
for the CEC meeting. Normally that would be,
Yeah, just get an
if
Uber,
you're
Mike.
working there, not.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
they will look into it.
Yeah, we don't want you to be on the subway this late at night. Get a Uber.
That's okay.
Thank you,
No,
Michael.
actually,
Michael,
that is,
right.
that's true though, because he would have gone home, okay.
Yeah.
I live near fire station. No, you would have gone home. You would have, no, this is the logic. You would have gone home earlier. You stayed here, you stayed there because you can take car service.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
And
move.
you will get reimbursed.
Crystal, can we talk about the shared Google Calendar, please?
So you guys
DJ,
don't
did-
need me.
DJ, did we formally
Hold
vote
on,
on these
Micah saying
committees?
something. Ted, hold on. Go ahead,
Oh.
Micah.
What? Do you need me for a vote? That's what I mean. I'm gonna have to sign off.
We're gonna vote now. Well, Ted has brought up a point about the voting for the committees. Paul, we have to vote for the committees?
Yeah, because they're not, if you don't have them a standing committee, you need another one.
Okay, so let's vote for it. Let's, so I make a motion for the equity committee, right? So,
That one you voted on, I thought. Oh,
No.
yeah, I thought you voted on. No?
no, we didn't
No,
vote on that.
we never
No, we
voted.
didn't vote on
Okay.
it.
Yes.
And Ted second that, right? So that's, so all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Anyone know?
Anyone no?
I oppose.
Micah oppose? Barbara, you oppose? You yes?
No, yes. Why you oppose, Micah?
No. You can't ask that question. Sorry.
No, I would like to say.
No. Please, I don't want to get into that. I'm sorry. You're
Okay, but what I'm gonna do if I feel it's going too far, I will oppose it publicly.
which is fine. But you don't have to explain your vote. Is what I'm trying to say. To know,
I'm happy to explain my vote.
please, you don't have to, right? So let's just leave it as that. Okay. Okay, you got it, Crystal, the voting?
So Micah opposed, everyone else agree, yeah?
Anyone abstain? Anyone abstain?
Elena.
Elena abstain.
Okay.
So one abstain, Michael Morrison, no, and we have,
What are we voting on? The equity committee?
yes, to have it.
So why would,
No, Barbara, no, Barbara, you should keep those comments. I'm sorry. You should make a comment on anyone's vote. Sorry. So Barbara,
my apologies.
yeah,
Barbara, I'll tell you
VJ.
privately if you want.
No, guys, come on. Let's move along, please.
No, I mean, not now.
Erica, did you vote? Sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And
Andy,
Paula, do we need to vote on chairs as well?
No, once you establish the committee, then the chair is appointed by the president.
yeah, and take the baby one, the brown one. Andy, are you there?
Mr. King? His phone is there, but he's not.
And we lost Robert, right?
Yes.
There
Andy
you go.
here. Andy here. Andy's here.
Hi,
Andy, do you vote yes on the equity committee?
Yes, I vote on it.
He says yes.
So we have Andy, VJ, Barbara, Ted, Howard. Erica, yes?
Only 5.
That's 6. Then we have, so that's the 6 is yes, right? That means it's gonna go forward, right? Micah is a vote, Elena abstain, and we have a no vote from,
Robert.
Right.
good. Okay, in terms of processes, whatever, so I'm Ted as the chair, so you guys decide what you have to decide, bring it back to the group, let's keep talking, right? Is there any other committees we have to vote on?
Safety, you don't have?
No, that's before.
We have that already.
We have
Okay, that's enough for now. Let's keep talking about, let's keep remembering the meeting today, and let's keep thinking about what other committees we should form. I definitely could encourage us having multiple committees so we can divvy the work up and reach multiple avenues. How about the calls to schools? A committee to ensure announcing the meetings. I don't know, is that something that only that Crystal will do only, or how do you feel about that?
How about return to school committee?
A return to school? Yeah, sure, let's do that. But wait, let's hold that point right there. What about the one about making sure all the schools are contacted for meetings and making sure that is taken care of? A group of us making sure that is happening.
Yes.
And we have a comment about to people about, yes, we did do that. Yes, we reached out. Yes, we called.
So are
I
you going to
don't-
call that an outreach committee or?
Outreach.
I don't understand why we need to have a committee for something like that. That seems more of an administrative function.
That's
So
true.
do we need that to be only Crystal? That's fine with me, totally.
Well,
Yes.
I think what people were saying today was that we might need to do some of it ourselves. That's what they were saying.
Well, I think if we didn't have Crystal before, so if she has a mailing list of all the principals, all the parent coordinators, and make sure that both of those emails sent out with maybe a follow-up, asking parent coordinators to resend a follow-up email to remind people to attend. And, maybe a few of us will do a spot check and get on those emails. Maybe we should get on those emails. So like, for instance, for a few of my schools, I asked parent coordinators to include me on their emails that they send out. So I actually get the emails. My kids are not in the school, but I get the emails and I love it. Right. So if I don't see the email, I actually, for the schools that I'm on, I did not see an email about the CEC meeting today. That's a good point, actually.
Okay, so the thing is here, a few of us will call the schools. Who is a few of us? Because no one does it, I'm sorry, right? None of us will actually own that responsibility. And to Howard's point, if we have a committee, then there's a committee's responsibility to make sure that's happening. Because there's no accountability, right? So that's why, as a direct feedback from the parents today, as a direct feedback, I feel, yes, Krista should be the person making calls, but then all the calls, but at least you have a committee making sure when questions come up in the meeting about why is it there's no this parents from here, why no school from here, the committee can say, well, we've been doing this, we've been doing that. I have to answer those questions. If we have a committee for that outreach specifically. It could be for a survey, it could be for this, whatever we think. But how you guys think about it? What do you guys think?
I felt bad that we couldn't respond. That's what I
We
felt
don't
bad.
have a
But I
committee-
didn't-
we don't have an answer for that.
no, but we do it July 2nd, guys. School's over. A lot of parents checked out.
Guys, I'm sorry, I gotta run.
Okay, Micah.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye,
take
Micah.
care.
Have a good night.
Bye.
See you,
Bye.
Micah.
Thank
Good
you.
night, Micah.
Thanks.
Be
Bye-bye.
safe and be
Take care,
well.
Micah, okay? Be
Yeah,
safe.
you go, right? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Can I suggest that, if you look at your officers, there's really not a lot to do, say, for the second VP or the first VP, other than just whatever the president wants them to do, right? You could revise your bylaws to assign these things. I mean, to have a committee to check up on, on this kind of thing, maybe a bit overkill, but you could make it part of the responsibility of an officer.
I like that.
Okay, so I suggest a first vice president to be the person to work with Crystal to ensure that these things are happening.
I accept.
Thank you, Barbara.
Beautiful.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yes, and I would assist too. So.
Okay, beautiful. So we have a two-member committee. Perfect.
Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that.
I want to make it. So let's make it a chair. Let's make Barbara the chair, and then Erica will be the second person of the chair of the group.
Okay, so it's an outreach committee.
It's an outreach committee. Can we vote for that, please? All in favor?
I second that.
Committee for the outreach committee to get parent involvement. Anyone vote in favor of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Erica, how do you vote?
Yeah.
7.
Yes.
Andy, how do you vote?
Andy,
Oh,
knock him in his head with a broom, I swear.
Where is he?
He floated that way.
it has the guys. We have to fix this, right? This is something that I'm sorry. If it's,
Andy, come back. Look at him. And
Can we get him some headphones?
No, it doesn't work well with me. I'm serious. So like, we have to really get a plan in place.
Andy, you have to be committed, Andy. Come on. This is ridiculous. Unmute your mic, Andy. We're talking to you.
We can't hear you, Andy. There you
Yes. I'm here.
Andy, if VJ don't want to give you a speech, I have to give you a speech.
No. I'm saying I'm here. I'm listening to you guys all the time. I haven't gone anywhere.
No, but
I'm here all
Andy,
the time.
this is some serious thing going on here. You can't walk away and walk around the corner and come back. You need to be here when we call you.
Not a problem.
Please, thank you.
Okay, so we're voting on the what's the committee called again?
Outreach committee.
Committee. Andy, how do you vote on having outreach committee to reach parents of the district? Barbara will be the chair, and so will Erica be the assistant to her.
Okay. The outreach committee, right? I don't have a problem with it, but would it be addressing some of the police of the cops that would have retired from the?
No, that's not for that. That's not for that. That's totally different.
Okay.
That's why you need to be here. If you was listening, you
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. Okay. I will vote for it, Barbara. I'll vote for it.
Thank you. Okay, we have a unanimous. Well, no. How are you vote? Yes, unanimous vote for the outreach committee. Okay. I think, guys, we have to just go quickly into executive session. Unless we have anyone else having new business. Unless you want to table this for the next meeting.
VJ, I want to bring up something that Elena remarked upon about a back to school committee.
Yes, sorry, Elena.
Yeah.
I think that's the question of the day.
Let's do it.
I
Okay,
strongly feel that District 28 is not going to be ready, and we're going to come in the September CEC meeting, and we're going to be attacked that the CEC was not proactive enough to do the outreach to the schools to get ready in time. Hearing what in May and June District 25 is doing, I wouldn't have known it if my daughter was not in District 25, and I did attend the SLT meeting for District 28 school, and I did not hear the same. So I am concerned. Hopefully you guys agree as well.
I make a motion to form a back to school committee.
Second.
Second.
I nominate Elena to be the chair of that committee.
You got it.
Second.
I second that.
Anyone willing to work with her on the committee? Howard.
I'll work with her.
Howard and Erica. Andy,
There we go.
I'm listening to you guys here right now.
we'll need you to assist in the committees also, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you heard all the committees that was being formed, but we'll need you as a member, as a executive member of this CEC to fulfill some responsibilities when it comes to the committees. All right, Barbara will reach out to you separately after this call next day and have a talk and let's discuss with you, okay?
Not a problem, not a problem, not a problem, not a problem.
Thank you, thank you, Andy. So, does anyone have any new business?
Just a quick, this might be minor, I don't even know, but like, haven't we changed email addresses? Like Crystal has a new email address because the website has the old email address on it.
Okay, is that a comment? Or you wanted to make have a check on that?
So change it.
I'm asking, I know it's the old email address. Aren't we supposed to be switching over? That's what I'm asking as a question.
Okay. Do you have an answer, Crystal? Or you would look into it?
I mean, if you want me to switch it, it's just a matter of contacting Marisol and switching it. So do you want me to do that?
No,
Sure.
you know.
Because as far as last I heard, that other email, someone was answering emails from it. I forgot who said it was, but there's emails going to info, right?
But you can just forward it to CEC28, can't you?
Yes.
What's gonna do it?
Okay, Ted, do you mind emailing Crystal and let's discuss that?
Okay.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Okay, since there's no more, is there any more new business going once? Going to so two times. Okay, we're gonna move to executive session this time. Can we stop the recording, please?
Bye.
Bye, Paula. And
Can I go home now?
Sure.
Okay.
Andy,
Bye,
you stay.
Paula.
Thank you.
Andy, you stay.
No,
Happy 4th. Bye.
You too.
No, Andy, you stay. Andy, you stay.
Andy, you stay.
Yes, I heard
Okay.
you. I heard